Whenever I went to drop my daughter at school, it was always, a conversation amongst mothers. They always, I got to hear that, I want to send my son, daughter to IIT, IIM. That was the whole concept, or it would be medical school. And I am a rebel in all that. I wanted, children to do something very different and unique. And I always had a focus on innovation, because that's the key word for India. It's a budding country, it's a baby, and this baby needs innovation, because we cannot keep importing things. We have to become self-reliant, and we have to do exports if the country has to grow. We cannot remain as a third world country forever, right? Because anybody who thought of India, they only thought of snake charmers and villages. So we need to break that. And I was constantly in the lookout of what has to be done. And, building a scientific community of children was my passion. And that is where I started this competition called Young Scientist India. The first thing when I did, what I did in Space Kidz India, I should say, is running this. It's not a competition. I would say it is an innovation challenge, which culminates in building a innovation scientific community of students. And that culminated in building the Kalam satellite. I handpicked my first team member, that is Rifat Sharuk. He came to me when he was in his 8th grade. He was a participant of this Young Scientist India competition, and that is where I handpicked all my children. In fact, they were not winners in the competition, or rather the challenge. Because if I keep saying challenge, people say, what is it, what is it? So, for a lay person to understand, it's a competition, innovation competition. So that is where I handpicked my team of Yagnasai, Gopinath, and all these people came together. So now once you come together, what is the purpose of coming together? That became a question mark. So the idea was to build satellites. But building satellites in our country and launching is a big question mark, because security issues and permissions, governmental permissions. Way back in 2015, it was a very, very difficult thing to actually launch a satellite, and that too developed by a private organization. And we had to break that and say that it is not a satellite, it is a high altitude balloon. So instead of building a satellite that went in a rocket, what we did was we developed a payload that would be carried by a helium balloon. It's a huge helium balloon that would carry the payload. It would go near space, almost about 30 to 36 kilometers. And from there, the balloon bursts, and this payload will collect all the data there, and then a parachute will bring that and come down. Then we locate where the payload is fallen through our GPS tracking system, and then we bring back the payload and study the data. So when we were thinking of an orbital launch, orbital in the sense, your satellite, this is a satellite, so you build a satellite and you have to integrate it in the rocket, and the rocket takes the satellite to space. And that is a very, very, very expensive affair. It almost costs like, 1.5 to 2 crores. And financial crunch, that was, a major issue for us, because we couldn't spend 2 crores for our launches. And so we wondered what we have to do. And when we were brainstorming, we said, why not build smaller satellites? You will be really surprised. Our satellite Kalamsat, it was born from a gulab jamun. Yes, you will be really surprised. Kids were having gulab jamun, and I mentioned to you about Rifat and Kasif. They were like, enjoying the gulab jamun, but they were not actually putting it in the mouth. And I was so irritated. You guys asked me to make gulab jamun and you're not eating it. What are you doing, with that? Admiring the gulab jamun. And they said, ma'am, now money is the issue for us. So if we are able to build a satellite, the size of a gulab jamun, then we need not spend so much money. Why don't we try this and send a proposal to NASA or ISRO, and if they accept it, then that will be the best thing. At that juncture, 2016-17, still, it was student satellites were not very popular in India. So we didn't know what we have to do. And, again, universe conspired. I keep repeating that universe keep conspiring, because எண்ணங்கள் தான் வாழ்க்கை. If I have to tell you that whatever you have within you, the thought process, that thought process emulates as reality. So if you have a strong thought inside, definitely that's going to be happening one day or the other. So that way this desire of ours to build a satellite came to light. The day we spoke about this, there was a competition announced by iDoodle Learning Inc. And NASA together, and this challenge was open throughout the world, students of throughout the world, and they had a criteria that any science experiment which can weigh 64 grams and which will fit in a small box that they will be sending to us, a plastic box, and they will be vetting the projects, and if the project is the best, they will be sending the science experiment or the science project up in space free of cost. Free of cost was what gave us that kick. We said, instead of doing, in the US and all that, kids as 7-year-old, 8-year-old, they send chocolates and chewing gums and all that. NASA still encourages that, these children tomorrow may become scientists. So that way they were expecting some normal experiments. But we sent our proposal wherein we wrote that we will be building a satellite, in 64 grams and in the size of 3.4 centimeters. So that actually puzzled. They got so curious. They said, how can these young bunch of Indian children think something so different? So Colorado Space Grant Consortium was the knowledge partner for this whole thing. The director, Chris Kohler, he was so fascinated by the idea, and he sent an email. I actually fell off the chair, Dr. Kasin. I mean, what a proposal you guys have sent. It's amazing. And so that's how we built the world's lightest and first ever 3D printed satellite, the CalamSat. Of course, people will say, if it orbits the Earth, it's a satellite. This is not orbital. But that's okay. It's an idea that was, though it is a suborbital mission, it is the idea of the younger generation. A 16-year-old, a 14-year-old can think of something like this today. So tomorrow, just see the future of India. So we were there on almost 900 media. Initially when we got chosen, people didn't even look at us. They thought, oh, what is this? But then once this was reflected, in iDoodle Learning Inc.'s website, which linked NASA and everything, it really got so big that the entire world started looking at us. And you wouldn't believe, right from Telegram to India Post to BBC, all the channels we went live that day. Al Jazeera, I don't even remember the names of French television and Japanese and all, they all went live. So my kids got so excited. We were nowhere and, suddenly this was everywhere. If you ask me, I think 100%, everybody has interest in space. They may not want to take space as a profession, but the interest in space, I would say, is 100%, because anybody that I spoke to, when I say satellites, they are like, what? Satellites? I mean, satellites can be built only by NASA or ISRO. I said, no, we also build that. Children also can. What children can do? So immediately what happens is, a 2.5-year-old, 3-year-old, child's parent, my daughter is talking about planets. Can I bring her to Space Kidz? And I'm like, hello, we are not babysitting here. Or it is not a play school. We're not a training center. We, of course, impart knowledge to a lot of government school. We go to the interior pockets and predominantly we try to pull the girl children outside. I'm very passionate about girl children getting into STEM, because they're always, pushed aside, saying that, only boys are good with technology and girls are only good with artistic things. So I want to break that, because it was only about 17% all over the world that women were in STEM. Now almost it is 40%. Even during the Chandrayaan and the Mangalyaan missions that ISRO had taken, we had a lot of women, but nobody were in the forefront in the leadership roles. So that is where we come in, and we kind of pull these children and give them the space training. But apart from that, if you ask me, I would say at least about 30% to 30 to 45% of students are now looking at space as a profession. Sorry guys, but I'm not being proud here, but I would say I draw my inspiration from within myself. It is just that because I am put into a closed box. When I'm put into a closed box, I should know how I have to come out. My situations are different. My ambience is different. The people that I interact with are different. So it is I who have to face all these things. So every day I have to build a kind of a resilience to come out, to face the world. So I love to read a lot of books and listen to a lot of speeches, more than reading, because my reading is all I read books which are life after death, some all psychologically putting things into your head, such books I love to read. But I love to listen to a lot of speeches. So most of the speeches that I've heard, the leaders who are world leaders, everybody I think have something common within them, is resilience and this out of the box thinking, the patience and the drive to win. They had a vision for themselves. So similarly, in spite of getting married early, in spite of being there at home for 16 years, there was something within me, that fire that sparked, and I felt that I need to come out to do something for the society. And this is why I was born on earth. So I always feel that I grow as a person or evolve as a person every day. I learn when I fall. So I introspect myself a lot. Every day, rather, every minute, I introspect whether I'm on the right path, whether I'm thinking on the right grounds. What is right for me may not be right for the others. But I strongly feel what is my thought process, I think I have to walk, that path. So I draw my inspiration from within.